Gage Avery and Joseph Kinney. We're specifically looking for you to tell us what are you going to sell tomorrow. Also, just for our sale, remember, do not park near the white tent tomorrow. That is on the north end of this building. Those are for the cooks for our sale, and it's important to get those in. So we need our market heifer. We need all of our first place winners. J.W. Morris, Aracel Colburn, Lily Vermeer, Connor Price, Jackson Siebert, Gage Avery, Elizabeth Quick, and Macy Meyer. We also need our heifer winner, or our market heifer, sorry. Our grand champion belt buckle is going to be sponsored today by Buyer Sinclair. Please remember that you need to bring me a thank you before we give you the belt buckles. The Reserve Grand Champion Cup was donated by Morris Crazy Creations. Thank you very much. They're awesome.
Right there. He's good. Push that foot back just a little. Yeah, just a little. Yep, no more. A little more. Good setup. That's good. Just right there, Jay.
Well, a nice steer show here this morning, and I think that within each of these classes there are cattle that in my opinion represent a good kind, and there's some classes in here that I think there are cattle, in my opinion there's probably 3 or 4 of these guys that really represent what I see as what we need to win a steer show. They're good carcass cattle, and then on top of it they combine carcass merit there with some show steer quality in addition to that, and on top of that, even with it being a terminal kind of a show, if you will, I still think it's important for them to be sound enough structured to go ahead and end up winning a lot of these classes, and I think, in my opinion, each of these cattle represent that out of their respective classes. I think it's challenging to go ahead and pick a champion because there's probably each of them that I want to poke a hole in just a little, but then there's each of them that that definitely bring some strengths to the table in addition to that. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to pick the steer that, in my opinion, adds up the most amount of good for me, and that's acceptable in all of those areas. So with that being said, if you would please, all the kids that have ran through today and those that are out here in our champion drive, please give them a nice round of applause and congratulate them on a job well done here at the Arapahoe County Fair. As we bring that Hereford out into contention for reserve, like we talked about him in class, that steer doesn't have the prettiest hair coat. He doesn't, look like a stereotypical show steer. But I want that young lady to leave here knowing that I think that's a good beef animal. That is a quality steer that the young lady has, and I think becomes in contention for reserve just because I think there is some good aspects in that calf. The one that comes out of the class right before, I also think that one's tough as well. You had to ask yourself within that class, does he have enough muscle? The other one that I think's in contention as well is the black steer that comes out of the next class there. I think that calf is awfully shapely. I think he's more than sound enough, and I actually really like the design of his hind leg. I think that steer's darn sure in contention. And then the little yellow calf is the other one that's in contention for me as well. He's just smooth built, a heavy enough muscled calf. The question with him is just, is he big enough? And so, those are the 4 that are in contention out here for reserve for me. Again, that's nothing to take away from the rest of these exhibitors out here. Those are just the ones that add up the most amount of good, in my opinion. But the one that follows just the kind of the calf that I use to win, a steer that I think offers a lot of quality and actually is probably just a shade better even in how he uses his hind leg. We're going to go ahead and use the one out of class 7. That black steer is going to go ahead and be reserve.
Congratulations to Macy Meyer on her Grand Champion steer. Congratulations also to Gage Avery for his reserve Grand Champion steer. We do have belt buckles sponsored by Buyer Sinclair. We want to give a big shout out to them. We will have a 15-minute break before we begin our breeding. So 15-minute break for picture time, begin our breeding. Starting off in our breeding classes, we have a summer yearling heifer, Elizabeth Quick. Then we have Camden Hess, J.W. Morris, Keely Morris, and Jackson Siebert. Last class will be Payson Hess. And again, just a housekeeping for tomorrow. You cannot park anywhere near the white tent. That is where the barbecue is going to be set up for our buyers tomorrow night. Do not break down your market cattle. We will be doing ultrasounds around 2 o'clock and they will have to be washed after that. So just to keep that in mind, maybe go to lunch afterwards. As soon as we're done with the breeding, we will go straight into showmanship. We will start with senior showman, then intermediate showman, followed up by our junior showmanship.
think agriculture is at the center of everything we do here at Farm Credit, and so the importance is we really do focus on that. We're not focused on commercial banking or business or deposits. We're here to lend money to farmers and ranchers right here in our territory.
We use an operating line every year, and knowing that we can count on that operating line and knowing that they are willing to sit down and talk about buying a piece of land is extremely important. And Farm Credit, they understand our business, they understand what we're doing out here, they understand what we're trying to do and where we're going.
Yeah, I think the importance of having a lender like Farm Credit, like us, is that we know agriculture. And so we're only focused on ag and ranching and rural America. We're not focused on, other outside issues. And so we know it, we live it, and we're...
Let's make our way to the show ring. I see Elizabeth on her way. First in is going to be Elizabeth Quick. Birthday on Elizabeth Calf is 6/6 of 20.
Good single entry heifer here to start off our breeding cattle show. I think there's a lot of value in this particular heifer. Just her basic build, feet and legs I think are right in that heifer. She's got some extra punch. She's got some extra just power and substance in her. A little softer, specifically back through the rear third of her body. But I think that's getting fairly critical on a pretty nice heifer there. I wish her the best of luck here in just a little bit once we select our champion breeding. a tough class here because, in my opinion, there's several different things that you can do, or I guess more so I should say, each of these heifers have their own value as far as what you can do with them when they go into production. To me, the Hereford heifer just offers, once again, and I've used this a couple times here today, and so not to sound like a broken record, to me she offers the most amount of good just as a cow, because to me that heifer balances. She's very, very feminine. I love the bend to her knee, the squareness to her knee, the shape and turn of her body, and then especially in relation to the heifer that ends up in second, she's just got quite a bit more just growth in her. There's just a little more performance in that heifer. We're within, I believe, if I remember hearing right, we're within 2 months of age, 2 or 3 months of age here, and so again, that heifer's just got a little more performance working in her favor. If we pick on that heifer, what I do want to do is just refine her udder structure down a little bit, especially that front quarter gets maybe just a little coarse for me, but I still think that's a heifer that's feminine and offers a lot of good. She's probably the most versatile, in my opinion, of what we have in here. The black and white heifer, that's the kicker for me. That heifer, because to me, when that heifer gets in motion, that heifer is as good looking, as soft bellied, as good structured, and just as flexible as any of them. The biggest and really the biggest hole that I'm going to punch in her is for an April heifer calf. I just wish she was bigger. That heifer's just a little quick maturing and just a little too moderate for me. I wish we could just grow her up just a shade more. I just don't see as much just performance in that heifer long term. That's an awfully good heifer and a close pair there on top. And really, this heifer in third, I like a lot of things about her as well. That's a heifer that you talk about neck attachment, again, just soundness of structure and quality of the angles within that heifer. I think she lines out and balances up pretty good. She'll get just a little rounder there in the shape of her shoulder. She'll get just, I don't even want to necessarily call it coarse, but just, like I said, a little rounder there at the edge of her blade. She'll get just a little rougher there in her spine and her top line, and I wish we could set her tail head down in her there just a shade. But that's a nice heifer. Those are 3 awful good ones there on top. And then the mini Hereford heifer, I like a lot of things about her too. That's just a good, easy doing, good fleshing kind of a heifer. She's sound structured, she's good built. That heifer, to me, amongst those other 3, she's the plainest to look at, and even once you bring in breed type into that, I still think she's just a little deeper there in her neck. She's got too much chest for me. Wish we could make her a little softer there, naturally softer back in through her flank and freshen up her condition just a little bit. Those are 4 really nice projects for those individuals. If you would, please give them a hand as they exit.
Next in the ring is Payson Hess. Congratulations on the last class winner, Keely Morris. Second place, Jackson Seabird. Third place, Camden Hess. And fourth place, J.W. Morris.
Got a February heifer here that I think does a lot of things really quite well for the young man. A single entry that I think can stand a little more heifers in here, to be honest with you, because I think that heifer's got a world of quality in her. You start her down at the surface, and that heifer's big bone. She's stout featured. That heifer's got some real skeletal width in her. I like the shape and the turn of her body. Off to the side of that heifer, she's sleek up front, really good in terms of top line balance and just quality there from the side. A heifer that I think puts together a lot of good. You know, we can make her maybe just a shade bolder and just a little stouter there up high, but boy, that's an awfully good heifer that for a single entry, I think can, I'm excited to see how she stacks up here in our champion drive here momentarily. Congratulations to that young man.
Congratulations to Pace and Hess. Our next coming in is our cow-calf pair, shown by Taylor Thomas Tariq. This is a single entry. In between our breeding and our senior showmanship, we will be taking a picture break for 15 minutes, and then we will be going into our senior showmanships.
Just a single entry pair here, and a nice pair at that. I think that cow, for having a nice bull calf here at side, she's still in good flesh, and you know, one thing about her is too, she's got a nice, really refined udder development about her. A heifer that I think's long bodied, just a good productive kind of a cow, and like I said, a nice little bull calf there at side. So congratulations to that young lady on a nice cow calf pair.
Congratulations, Taylor Thomas Tariq, on your first place for your cow-calf entry. We do have a single entry for our breeding, and that is going to be our junior bull calf, coming in with Elizabeth Quick. Following this, we will need all of our first class winners to the holding pen. Second places will be held outside. Following our breeding, we will have a 15-minute break for pictures.
Again, just a single entry bull here, and that's a good terminal made kind of a bull in my opinion. That bull is really good as far as his muscularity, his dimension. He's manly, he's burly, he's stout, and I like all those things, all while being more than functional enough structure and handling his spine and his top line really quite right. That's a nice bull for the young lady, a good mini Hereford there. If you would please congratulate her on a job well done with our single entry bull.
Congratulations, Elizabeth Quick. We need everybody back in the ring for the breeding that had first places. So Elizabeth Quick, Keely Morris, Taylor Thomas Tariq, and Elizabeth Quick with her bull calf. We are breaking senior showmanship down. Nathan, Julian, Joseph, and Connor Price, and Elizabeth Quick will be in the first heat. Following that is Jackson, Shannon, Taylor, Lily, Anna, and Alden will be in the second heat, and then they will come back in for the grand drive for the seniors. So seniors are in two heats. There's a 15-minute break between this for pictures. We want to thank Darren Osmond for being our ring steward today. He's done an excellent job hanging in. We also want to thank him for sponsoring our breeding buckle. So thank you, Darren. Brian Hanlon, you are needed at the ringside. Brian Hanlon.
Well, not a huge numbered breeding cattle show, but like I've said all week, I think there's some very nice ones out here. I'll go through, and I know since we have so few of these classes here, I'll tell you kind of what's in my head a little bit as we come back to select our champion, and then I'll go tell you which one I like here. We'll just start that young lady's black heifer that comes out of our youngest class. To me, that heifer, she gets her propped up. I think she's got an awesome look there from the side. She's got a really good hind leg in her, a heifer that uses her hip and her hind leg really quite well, and I like the extra just punch and substance that heifer has. You know, we could probably make her just a little more feminine and maybe even a little more attractive there about her head and her neck once we get her back out here amongst the others, but I still think there's a world of quality in that heifer, and for what I'm going to guess is going to be her purpose in life, I think that heifer can do a lot of very, very good things. The Hereford heifer, like we talked about her there in that class, there's a lot of growth, a lot of performance in her, a heifer that's soft-bodied, really good as far as the turn in that heifer. She's got some stoutness of feature. She's square in her knee. She's sound structured up front. A heifer that I think does some really good things there. You know, the criticisms that we had of her within that class, she's got a little extra crest. She's got a little extra chest. And on top of it, I wish that we could just refine her udder just a little bit. But that's an awful good heifer there that is darn sure in contention for our supreme breeding animal out here. The smoke-colored, kind of rat-tail-colored one that comes out of that third class, you know, like we talked about her, there's a lot of quality, just a lot of soundness of structure and just length and extension in that heifer. I like her extra just stoutness at the ground. I like her extra bone, the hip, and just tailhead alignment of that heifer I think's really nice. And once we get her back out here, she might have just a nickel extra set to her hock, and I don't think that's a bad thing from necessarily just a function standpoint. More so it does detract away from her balance maybe just a little bit. We could stouten her up in her jaw there just a shade as well. But again, that's another one that is darn sure in contention, a nice heifer that comes out of a single entry class. Then we get into that cow-calf pair, and then again, just a good, useful kind of a cow there that she's done a good job raising that calf with a real good udder in her. You know, once we get her back out here in contention for Supreme, that heifer needs to be maybe just a little softer through the rear third of her body. That heifer could be just a little bolder all the way throughout, and you know, we call it a show here, and she might not be just quite as far along flesh-wise, which that's okay, that's fine, because obviously she's raising a calf there at side, but like I said, that's a good, useful kind of an animal. And then our lone bull that comes out here, a mini Hereford bull, it's big shaped, really, really powerful, and there's a lot of substance in that guy, all while being plenty sound enough and manly and masculine enough. You know, the question that you got to ask yourself on him is, once we relate him back to the females, is does he balance maybe good enough from the side? He gets just a little rounder there out of his hip. He gets maybe just a little tighter there back in through his flank. And again, I don't think that's necessarily a production issue. I more so see it as just a balance thing as much as anything within that guy. Just to help him balance up just a shade better, we can make him just a little softer there back through his flank and square his hip up. That's the way that I see the cattle, and hopefully everybody can kind of follow along in what I see in them. I think it's close, specifically between 3 of them, to be your champion breeding animal. And as I've said all week, I'll just use the animal that I feel it just hits me from a personal preference standpoint, and that I think can offer the most amount of value for their intended purpose, or what I'm guessing is going to be their intended purpose. So with that being said, that makes it pretty simple for me. I think I know I said that there's 3, there's 2 that stand out. What we're going to do is we're going to use the young lady's black heifer there up front to be your supreme. We're going to use the Hereford to be reserved. Congratulations to those exhibitors. If you would please congratulate them and give them a nice round of applause.
Congratulations for your grand champion breeding. Elizabeth Quick, second place reserve, went to Kaylee Morris. Elizabeth, I have a belt buckle for you. I do need a thank you. And I also want to again thank our sponsor, Darren, for not only sponsoring our belt buckle, but being our ring steward. Awesome job today. Bryce Hanlon and Brooke Hanlon, I need you at the announcer stand. Bryce Hanlon, Brooke Hanlon, I need you at the announcer stand. Alden Thompson, I need you at the stand. Please come up to the stand. Alden Thompson. Again, if you have a market animal, do not wash them. They will be around at 2 o'clock for the carcass contest, and you will have to re-rinse your cattle. So you might as well do it once. If you have not declared who is going into the sale, we need that immediately. We have 5 minutes till senior showmen and our first heat. Nathan, Julian, Joseph, Connor, and Elizabeth, you will be in the first heat. Our second heat is Jackson, Shannon, Taylor, Alden, and Lily and Anna. So please be ready. We will do 2 heats. If you're in the first heat, you will go out of the ring, and then he will bring in the second heat, and then he will bring in his top few that he wants back.
I think agriculture is at the center of everything we do here at Farm Credit, and so the importance is we really do focus on that. We're not focused on commercial banking or business or deposits. We're here to lend money to farmers and ranchers right here in our territory.
We use an operating line every year, and knowing that we can count on that operating line and knowing that they are willing to sit down and talk about buying a piece of land, really important. And Farm Credit, they understand our business, they understand what we're doing out here, they understand what we're trying to do and where we're going.
Yeah, I think the importance of having a lender like Farm Credit, like us, is that we know agriculture. And so we're only focused on ag and ranching and rural America. We're not focused on, other outside issues. And so we know it, we live it, and we're here to lend to it.
Senior showmen need to be headed to the ring, please. We need Nathan, Julian Johnson, Joseph, Connor, and Elizabeth. Please head to the ring for the first round of senior showmen. Senior belt buckle is in memorial of Keith Hanlon. Thank you, Hanlon family.